brand new, especially for the passengers of the most uncommon YouTube live art stream. You have now entered the Twilight Zone, where we are going to be doing artwork of your favorite Disney characters or whatever you request in real time. Please let me know if you can hear from here, because sometimes the audio goes into the deepest, darkest corners of the imagination, into the muted zone. So hello everybody, it's so good to see you. What's up and how are you doing? And let's see if you can hear before we get started. This way I will be chatting away, only from YouTube to go kaput. There has been some major audio issues, which is why I'm standing here, seeing if you can hear before we get going with some live art requests. Heck yeah, woo! Alrighty, so good. Alrighty, here it is. Not sure if you can hear. If you can chat, please leave a chat. And hello, anybody home? And for those who watching the replay, thank you so much for your patience as we get the intro going. Hello, James. It's so good to hear you. See you. Can you hear what I'm saying? Otherwise, I'll start the stream over, and I'll make sure that the microphone is working. Hello, Lyle. It's so good to see you. Hello, Robin. Woo! How are you doing? And hello, James. James says we are live from Anchorage, Alaska. Where is everybody watching from? Just making sure that the technology is working before we dive on in. Hello, Melody Times. It's so good to see you. I hope things are going well for you. Hello, Robin. I Heart Disney. Woo! I'm glad to hear, James, that you can hear loud and clear. And here we go. Let's turn this thing around and let's do some live art right now. And for everybody watching the replay, thank you so much for your immense patience as we iron out the technical flukes and flaws. So let's get this thing turned around, whoop, into the Twilight Zone. As you may notice, I am not in my usual Tip Top Club environment, but rather the boiler room. The Tip Top Club is under some major renovations before we can really get going in the Tip Top Club again, and I cannot tell you just how much I miss the Tip Top Club with its professional studio lighting, its better audio quality than a deep, dark basement beyond the fifth dimension, which leaves to be a lot to be desired. That's right, Robin. We can pretend to be in the Hollywood Tower Hotel. Hello, Timothy. It's so good to see you. The best thing on the planet. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. You know what's really wild is I saw somebody next to Tiana's Bay View, also known as Splash Mountain, and I also saw somebody riding Seven Dwarfs Mine Train song. Let's get started with the Seven Dwarfs. Thank you for your patience, everybody, and for your tripod ride. What the heck? That shadow was not there. I know. I am a hot mess express. So let's stop putzing around and get going with the Seven Dwarfs. Unless somebody does have an art request, let's draw happy. Let's get happy. That is so funny, Lyle. You came just in time. The Twilight Zone and the stars must be aligning for you. So let's see. Let me know if you can see this or if there is any delay or lag. And sometimes if the drawing seems stuck or if the audio seems to go in and out, be sure to refresh YouTube from your end, because the lag monsters are having a field day today. Them lag monsters be escaping the mansion and flying all the way over to Colorado and to every single corner of the theme parks today too. So here it is. Guess what dwarf I'm drawing to get the party started? I have seen the live action Snow White before, and I gotta say, it's a really solid movie, given the fact that it is 2 hours long, and the set actually burnt down, which was really surprising. Matter of fact, when it came to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the live action movie went $180 million over budget allegedly, which I find really wild. And on top of that, And on top of that, there was supposed to be a live-action Tower of Terror movie, which has not quite materialized to my disappointment. Same with a Smallwood movie that was teased in 2017, but due to the Tomorrowland film's poor performance, due to lack of advertising or any coherent marketing, the Smallwood movie seems to have been put on the table, along with the fact that there was another Smallwood film that was in development in the 1990s. Unfortunately, that one also got put on the chopping block. So there's not been any Smallwood movie. Oh, thank you so much, Marty. We can draw the dock right next for Robin. That is so awesome, James, that you're making dinner. What are you making for dinner when you have the time to answer? Yes, evil Melody. Ha 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 ha. Evil dwarfs. Evil Doctor Nut. Let's draw the evil Doctor next. So, let's get going with the evil Doctor and the evil dwarfs at the same time. This is what, after this, since I did see Melody's chat come up first, we're going to draw what I think an evil dwarf looks like, especially if the dwarf has escaped the set of this villain's land set and has snuck into the Tower of Terror's boiler room, hoping to cause even more mischief on the service elevators. Instead of only having 5 drops per ride with the evil dwarf in control, you get, guess what? 13 drops. 13 story drops. So this is what an evil dwarf looks like. Or allegedly. This is what I think he looks like. Hi-ho, hi-ho. Off to the service elevator we go. And of course, he's got to be wearing a bellhop cap because the evil bellhop dwarf is never complete without his bellhop outfit. Another thing I find nice about drawing Disney characters is that they're rather predictable to draw. Once you know the curvature and the basic foundations of the line art, you can basically draw just about any character in the Disney style, which I really find endearing. Same with the Nickelodeon Fairy Odd Pants style and Johnny Phantom style. And even SpongeBob, once you know the style, you can draw just about anything in SpongeBob style. And here it is, the evil bellhop dwarf, who loves dropping you up and down 13,000 times. Here he is, awaiting your arrival and your check-in day. Check in if you dare, and I'm curious, if you saw the evil dwarf as a bellhop, would you check in or run away? For me, I'd personally check in so that I could sing the entire verse of It's a Small World, even the new verse that was introduced May of 2023. I would definitely be doing that. So here's the evil bellhop dwarf, ha 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 ha, ready to drop you at any moment of time. So big evil bellhop dwarf right there. Hello, Andy. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much. And hello, Chaz. Happy Duck Sunday. I hear that it's the last playoff of the season, and I'm curious, Chaz, who are the Ducks playing against? Thank you so much, Andy, and hugs to you too, Andy. Aww. So you know what? Let's draw the Duck from Back to the Future, as requested by Robin, aka I Heart Disney. And yes, I realized that I may not have the best conversational skills there, and I may sound a little stilted, scripted, or really robotic at times. That is the magic of having apraxia of speech, where you cannot speak very clearly or coherently for 10 years, and you spent most of your life in OT, occupational therapy, and in speech therapy. That is what happens when you're born with apraxia of speech. And unfortunately, because of apraxia of speech, I missed out on a lot of social skills and conversational practice. So basically, when my peers were talking in paragraphs, I was barely saying a single word. And when people got ready to talk about really complex things and ideas, I could barely speak I can barely speak a coherent paragraph. So that's why my conversational skills might sound a little robotic, and that's why my presentation might be a little robotic on the camera, just to be very honest and upfront with everybody. That's one of the many frustrations I do feel in my day-to-day life, which is why I do talk about it a lot, and I speak a lot about it on my apraxia advocacy page called Tony's Apraxia Adventures, where I speak what it's like having apraxia and how I navigate that disappearability to make the best out of my life. And yes, I've been in speech therapy for 12 I was in speech therapy for 12 years, 3 times a week, 1 hour per session, which surprisingly worked pretty well for me. Except for the major social delays. So here it is. On a positive note, here is Doc, the one and only Doc. What I'm really excited about tonight is the fact that I will hopefully see Peter Pan and Wendy flying for the very first time on the Starlight Parade float. The new update was debuted a few days ago, but I completely missed it due to personal reasons and obligations. But I can't say just how excited I am just to see that parade, the second parade. The first parade is at 8:30 p.m., which is in 15 minutes. Second parade, 9:15 p.m., and I would definitely be there for the second parade. Here's the one and only Doc. You're very welcome, Andy. Thank you so much, Marty. That means the world to hear. What's up, Robin? Woo! Oh no, Andy, that really sucks. So, not Andy, here you go. I present to you, I shall teleport you some toilet paper. So here you go, Andy. Some toilet paper is coming your way right now. That is the worst thing to run out of. Bam, there you go, Andy. There you go, some toilet paper. Boop. Alright, so does anybody have any other art requests Robin says to do? What about Mary Poppins holding her umbrella? Besides, so got it. That's a good idea. Hello, Matthew, it's so good to see you. I totally understand, Andy. I hope that things get done really quickly. And that sounds so amazing, James, that you're having some veggie meatloaf with bacon lettuce wrap, besting on one of the best foods on the planet. I can't go wrong with lettuce and teriyaki sauce, especially when I eat the Vietnamese spring rolls. Hello, CJL, and yes, I can draw sawing across America for Matthew too. Woo! So let's draw the Mary Poppins for Robin. Then we're going to be doing sewing and the Greg Goo for Melody Times. If I miss any drawings, be sure to repeat it as many times as you like in the chat, because sometimes I be missing the chat. Especially as I'm trying to dodge the shadows, the deepest, darkest shadows of the imagination. So here we go, Robin, just for you, Mary Poppins. Hello, CJO, it's so good to see you. Now let's get going, enough rambling. I just cannot wait to get back to my studio where I can see the chat and the artwork at the very same time, so I won't ever miss a single chat. And I do apologize to everybody who I missed tonight. Another thing that gets me really excited is that I'll be going to Disneyland May 1st to 3rd. I'll be streaming all 3 days that I'm there, starting around 3 p.m. in the afternoon, 6 p.m. Eastern Disney World time. This way I'll be streaming it in the evening and will reduce the chances of my phone overheating. I can't be having my phone or stuff overheating, especially when I'm trying to show you the magic of Disneyland. An overheated device definitely does take away the magic and the immersion, which is why I be streaming in the evenings instead of the mornings, or even early afternoon due to the heat. But there may be some surprise streams actually. Definitely stay tuned, and if you're new, be sure to subscribe, because you never know exactly when or where we are going live from in Disneyland. If you want me to, I'll be doing at least one rope drop stream among the 3 days, which you got to have your notifications on. However, the moment that my phone starts getting roasty toasty, that stream will end. Then we will resume where we left off in the afternoon. Good news is but the good news is I figured out a way to have easy access to multiple charger banks, more batteries, so we can be streaming all day long without the worry of a pop-up battery. I know I do like to strategize and vocalize out loud, especially when it comes to streaming a theme park that will be very rare for me to go to. Disneyland is definitely gonna be once in the blue moon for me. Gonna be very, very rare for me to go to. Which is why I've been talking a lot about it. And also in June, stay tuned too. I'll be doing all the evening streams from the Walt Disney World Resort. Last first week of June will be dedicated to Disney World. That's what we'll be doing. So May and June are definitely gonna be some pretty big months and times for me. Alright, so we got some Mary Poppins. Next up, the Grey Goose song. The Grey Goose Zone. I honestly do not have any clue what a Grey Goose is, but we shall find out. One day at a time, so here you got supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Woo! Same here, Robin. I cannot wait to. So here we go. Let's go to the Grey Goose. Coming up right next is a Grey Goose. Hello, Gizmo. It's so good to see you. I'm curious, but what is everybody cooking up for dinner tonight? And that's right, Marty. I'll save you some Grey Goose on a fresh sheet of paper. What sides and toppings would you like? Wait, Grey Goose's not a food. I thought that Grey Goose was a food, not a Mandalorian. I'm so sorry, Grey Goose. When you said Grey Goose, I thought you meant a pasta sauce with red sauce on it. Lasagna sounds amazing. Hello, Lyle. It's so good to see you. What's up? How are you doing? That sounds so amazing, Robin. That has steak, salad, and baked potato. Yummy, yummy in our tummy. Spaghetti from yesterday. That sounds so good, Gizmo. What toppings do you put in your spaghetti? And Melody says let's back up the chat. And yes, we can draw a singing head from Haunted Mansion for Andy. Alright, here we go. Oh, wait a second. We got to draw a song across America from Matthew, Gregu, and of course the singing head for Andy. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, everybody. I thought that Gregu was a type of spaghetti sauce, so I was going to draw a plate of spaghetti for Melody and give her some toppings. Yummy, yummy in my tummy. That sounds amazing, Lion. So here we go. We got Soy Across America. We got Gregu, Soy Across America, and Singing Head from Mansion. Here's the Gregu for Melody. Let's turn this paper right side up. And let's get the Gregu right here. You'll get some nice, fresh artwork. I'll put this in a very special bag. So when I come meet you up in June, I'll definitely be bringing you some Gregu artwork. And also, will anybody else be in the parks on between June 1st and June 6th? I unfortunately will not have park hopper tickets, and I have tickets that will only let me in after 2 p.m. But we'll make something work. And plus, I decided to avoid the early morning times since my phone would most likely overheat faster and easier in the mornings versus the afternoons. And as a PSA to everybody, a Gregu is not a red sauce, an Italian sauce. It is a baby Mandalorian. Whatever you do, please do not eat the Gregus. And thank you so much, Robin, for mentioning that I do have a Patreon right now, especially if you enjoy seeing this type of content. Unfortunately, content does cost quite a fair share of money, especially when I go to the parks. It does cost quite a fair share of funds, and it does take a lot of effort for me to get to the parks between meals, transportations, food, busing, and yes, it does take me 2 hours to bus to the airport from where I am right now. However, nothing is obligated. Please do not feel obligated. But besides park and transportation costs, it does cost money to purchase art supplies and to make sure that everything stays in tip-top shape, whether it's the technology to gimbal or replacing my technology over time so you get the best viewing experience possible. That is why I have started a Patreon, just so I could have a place that I could, just so that I could have a place dedicated to helping out the channel, and every single penny I receive on that Patreon will go directly back into this channel. That is how it works right now, and that's the reality. So here's the Gregu, and there's no obligation, no pressure whatsoever. Alright, so here we go. Let's get back to the Gregu. So here is the Gregu. Hello, Janet. It's so good to see you. And hello, Janet. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, Yoda is the Gregu's dad. The Gregu, not the Regu. I promise never to mistake Regu with a Gregu again. And coming up next is Soaring Across America for Disney with Matthew. Woo! Thank you so much, Melody. After the stream is done, would you like me to add? Oh no, it's Tony Ottawa, not Tony Ottawa. I cannot spell today. Sometimes I get names mixed up, but most times we just shall overcome and keep on going. So here it is. The Gregu, not the Ragu sauce. And Melody, I know it's kind of funny to ask, but would you like me to draw the Gregu thinking of Ragu? If you say yes, I'll draw Ragu. But if you say no, I'll leave it at Gregu. I'll leave it to Gregu. Gregu, not Ragu. Yep, welcome to our lives, Andy. Plot twist alert. And that's right, Robin. If you want to visit the Hyatt Hotel with no stress, and also you'll also get a some free travel advice. Be sure to contact Nick and Shannon. Robin has the link right there. I'll leave it to Gregu. I'll leave it to Bebo too. So moving on, let's draw Soaring Across America. Soaring. Alright, here we go. Thank you everybody for your patience. Internet is slightly slow tonight, so sometimes we be sitting there loading, and then kapow, fall. Sewing, not bed sew. Sometimes when I put sewing in the search bar, just so I can get a really good reference photo, it changes it to bed sew. So I'm like, no, not bed sew. Sewing, please. Don't give us any bed sews. Whoop. I'm not sure why, but whenever I write sewing, I always hear, here comes the pressure gauges. And whenever I hear the pressure gauges, I start getting a little bit nervous, especially when they used to have the little mist effect, ready to blow mist on you, as these pressure gauges were coming down, just like what used to happen in actual airplanes for humidifiers. And to make sure that the air stays semi-humid. Mama Medulla. Did I just say Mama Medulla again? Always a Mama Medulla. I'm not sure where Mama Medulla really came from. But ever since I watched the movie Elio on the Disney Treasure, I have been singing and chanting Mama Medulla. I'm not going to spoil the plot of Elio quite yet, but whenever the alien says he has a medulla, that ever got me going with the medulla chant. Alrighty, I see you around, Melody, and I hope you have a wonderful night. You should not be eating ragus with spaghetti, but you should definitely eat spaghetti with a ragu sauce. Alrighty, I see you around, Melody, and that ragu art will stay in a very, very special place. Next up after Someone is, of course, going to be drummer a Haunted Mansion head for Andy. So note, since we're at Someone, let's draw the Statue of Liberty. I really miss soaring across California since we went over Disneyland. And you can see the Hollywood Tower Hotel. Alrighty, it's okay, Lyle. I say, leave me alone. Then that's my spell check sometimes. It'd be like, leave me alone. Don't use me today. And I lost my monorail. I thought, that is so neat, Lyle, that your daughter discovered butterbeer creamer. I'm glad you're not a big fan of coffee drinkers. So, what does hello, thank you so much, Jalen. I am curious, but what does butterbeer creamer taste like? I've never had butterbeer in my entire life. And for me personally, I don't plan on consuming any butterbeer anytime soon. But I'm always curious to hear about everybody else's experience when it comes to butterbeer and the creamer. I actually thought that butterbeer was a cream drink, but I come to find out that it's a fruity punch. That is apple smoothie slash slushy. That is all I know about butterbeer for now. And do you know that the Statue of Liberty does not have pupils either? It kind of shocked me to learn about that fact during 5th grade when we were talking about the Statue of Liberty and doing a school play about Lady Liberty running away in the 1550 United States. And now I got that song stuck in my head. I saw Golden Gate Bridge. Lady Liberty's taking over. Move over, Golden Gate Bridge. Beep, beep. Alright, so we got Lady Liberty, Golden Gate Bridge. We got the whole shebang. Whoop. Let's just do this. What's that song? Lady Liberty is on fire. Lady Liberty is coming in hot tonight. So here's Lady Liberty, Golden Gate Bridge, soaring over the Americas. And that's right, Robin. Butterbeer is a beverage at Universal. They say it tastes like butterscotch. Speaking of Universal, I did hear from Amusement Park Pirates that there is a Universal Fan Fest going on. They do have a butterbeer toffee. They do have a butterbeer caramel. And I know that they have a butterbeer fish and chips. So let's see about some Haunted Mansion heads for Andy. Thank you so much for your patience. As here we go, ready for the Haunted Mansion singing. I do have to make a confession. I actually use reference video photos. The reason I use reference photos is to make sure that I get everything as accurate as possible. Yes, butterbeer fish and chips, please and thank you, with a side of ketchup and chocolate ice cream. I promise not to ruin another vat of chocolate ice cream from Beaches and Cream if I ever go again. I remember that night where I got so enthusiastic about trying new flavors, expanding my palate, that I poured mustard all over my Beaches and Cream chocolate ice cream. And I gotta be honest, it was the best flavor profile I've had in a long time. Especially after the chicken sandwich that Robin recommended. So huge thank you to Robin for recommending that amazing chicken sandwich, which I didn't put chocolate ice cream on, fortunately, but regardless, it tasted amazing, even if I'm going to put chocolate ice cream on it next time. So next time I go to Beaches and Cream, I am going to order myself a bowl of chocolate ice cream and dinner simultaneously. This way we can have ice cream on my sandwich at the same time. Just to see how it tastes, I'm curious now. And I promise not to ruin any more food groups besides that. So there you have one. Yep, I'm that person that will put peanut butter with vanilla ice cream, same here, Gizmo. And I'll be putting ketchup, salt, pepper, and chocolate ice cream. The only reason I cannot finish my ice cream is I got so full from that delicious Beaches and Cream sandwich that I had. Then I was like too full to even finish half my ice cream, which really bummed me out because I put ketchup on my ice cream, which was amazing. Next time I come in, if they were to allow outside food and drinks, I would buy a monster drink. What I would do with the monster drink, this is not recommended, is I would put the monster drink onto my ice cream. And I'd have chocolate ice cream with monster drink and ketchup. That sounds amazing right now, especially as the artificial chemicals mixed with the whole cream chocolate ice cream that they use at Beaches and Cream, and same with the entirety of the ketchup bottle. Not the entirety, but a few drops of it. A little dab will do in that case. That is how I'm going to eat at Beaches and Cream next time. If they will to allow me to bring in an outside monstrous drink, but out of respect for restaurant policies, I will not be doing that combination unless I do a takeout order, and we'll eat that before we launch Luminous from the outside bridge. That's what we can do next time. Next time we do resort hopping, finish our night with ketchup, Monster, and Red Bull at the same time on my chicken sandwich. That is me when it comes to trying food at Disney. Sometimes you just gotta mix things up and keep the good times coming. That sounds so amazing, Andy. It's a cherry float Coke. I like it. Tastes like cherry jello with whipped cream. Where can you get that cherry float Coke from, and how do you make it? It's so good to see amusement park pirates. And I'm curious, are you going to be at the Disneyland? Are you going to be at the Disney Channel event tonight? I know it can be a little gross at times. A little bleh. That is how I like my food. A little bleh. It can be a little bit boring to eat, honestly. That is so neat. That's so neat, Andy. I'm always looking for new things to try at the grocery store. Whenever I can go, I'm always trying something new. Mama Medulla. So does anybody have any does anybody have any art requests? Otherwise, we'll be going back to drawing the 7 dwarfs. So here you go, Andy, the bandstand of the 300 mansion dudes. Alright, let's see what's going on in here. Yep, we be feasting. That is so awesome. The Red, White, and Blue by Toby Keith. So let's see who Toby Keith is. Alright, James is to draw Toby Keith. One Toby Keith coming right up. I do not know who Toby Keith is, but I thought he was a NASCAR. But isn't Toby Keith a NASCAR driver? Wait, Toby Keith is an American songwriter. He did not drive NASCARs. I thought he was number 56 in the Grand Indy 500. Oh, thank you, Lyle. I didn't know that. Didn't he sing the song of the Red Solo Cup? Red Solo Cup, a partridge in a pear tree. On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me one red solo cup. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me two red solo cups, a guitar, and a country single named Toby Keith. That is the only country I know. I definitely gotta be taught up on country. When it comes to country or any music besides Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, or Elvis Presley, Elton John, I am clueless, to be honest. I didn't really listen to much music growing up besides Beethoven and Mozart. That is the magic of being of noise sensitivity. Is that my ears couldn't really stand much music besides classical until I was in my 20s. That's when I started branching out into Dean Martin, Elvis, after getting myself an antique Dean Martin slot machine, which is unfortunately not around anymore. That slot machine went kaput. I do know of Toby Mac due to some of his performances I virtually attended at Epcot. Outside of that, I'm just not really sure. I do apologize to Toby Keith that he may look a little bit more like Vincent Van Gogh. I got a little carried away with his beard. Sorry, Toby. Sorry, Toby Keith. If you're seeing this, you may resemble Vincent Van Gogh. And Toby Keith, I promise that is not a devil horn. That's part of your hat. There you go. Much better. Sometimes you gotta add the other side and the entire image looks way better. Mama Medulla. Fedoras are some of the hardest hats to draw accurately due to the shadow and shading, but this is what I see Toby Keith's hat. Let's just add some shading and seeing if we can salvage this. So here we got Toby Keith for Disney by Matthew. Bam. Here is Toby Keith. Does anybody have any other drawing requests? Otherwise, I'm back to drawing the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs artwork. So here we got some Toby Keith, some Haunted Mansion. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear, Lyle. I had no clue that Toby Keith passed away. That's so tragic. Alright. That's not Van Gogh. That's not Van Gogh. I'm glad to hear. That is so amazing. Hello, Strawberry Fields. It's so good to see you. That's so good to hear that my Toby Keith did not look like a Van Gogh. That's awesome, Andy. What Dean Martin slot machine do you remember seeing? For me, I used to have an antique Dean Martin's Wild Party machine. I've always wanted a Dean Martin's Pool Party machine, but unfortunately it requires a high definition screen, which my Blueboard 2 CPU, not Blueboard 2 CPU, but which my Blueboard slot machine cabinet cannot accommodate. Unfortunately, the Blueboard went kaput and dry rotted in storage, so down went the slot machine with the itsy bitsy spider. Hello, ML Reels. It's so good to see you. It's totally okay. You did not miss anything. We still got 30 minutes to go. 30 minutes of action. Woo! And yes, Andy, I can draw you a Mr. Rogers. It's a beautiful day in a copyright strike. It's a beautiful day getting copyright strikes. Will you be my neighbor? Won't you be my neighbor? Yes, King Friday. Yes, Cuckoo Clock. Tiger. It's a and you know what's interesting about Fred Rogers is that he was colorblind. He was colorblind to the point where he cannot recognize his red sweater from pea soup or red versus green. And what is your drawing request, MHR Wheels? I see that you might have one. Hello, Strawberry Field. How are you doing today? Let's do Tony and the Tiger. Let's do it. Tony the Tiger coming right up. Tony the Tiger and Mr. Roger. One of my favorite Mr. Rogers songs was when Mr. Rogers says, "It's okay to meet me. You are beautiful. You are beautiful the way you are." I began crying since I spent most of my life isolated and growing up as a disabled individual. And unfortunately, I didn't have any friends, but the moment that Mr. Rogers started singing, "It's beautiful to be me," I couldn't stop crying because I was reminded that I could be beautiful, even if nobody else saw me as beautiful. I felt that Mr. Rogers saw me as beautiful when I was a kid. I did not watch Mr. Rogers in real time since I was born in the year 2000, but I did watch the reruns and the replays. And I also saw the Mr. Rogers documentary, which is why I cried so hard. And I do wish that Mr. Rogers was still around making magic on the television set. If I was to meet Mr. Rogers, I would definitely give him some of my King Friday artwork and my Watch Tiger artwork. And yes, for me, I realize that not everything will be sunshines, rainbows, or always positive on here. But rather, I do have to face some really harsh realities, which is why I'm very open about talking about my realities right here. Since I don't like sugarcoating anything. I'm not a big fan of sugarcoating or just being like, "Hey, let's just be happy. Hey, we can overcome this, yada yada yada." But for me personally, I just like keeping things real. I just like being able to talk about what I like to talk about. And thank you so much, everybody who is willing to listen, who's open to listen. Yeah, because in my life, not everything is sunshines and rainbows. So here's Mr. Roger. Let me draw the tiger. Whoop. I do apologize for the off-centered artwork. I'm still getting used to this new setup. And yes, I can definitely draw you Donald Duck, and I can definitely draw you a Donald Duck and the Tower of Town. Oh, that's Fred. That's Fred the Tiger. Now I remember who he is. Fred Tiger coming on up. When I visited Pittsburgh a few years ago for the Apraxia Kids Conference, I actually got to see the Fred Tiger and the entire King Friday setup in real life, and I actually got to see the puppets too, which really blew me away. I couldn't believe that I was actually seeing Mr. Roger in real time. Not Mr. Rogers, but the Mr. Roger props. Which reminds me of Calvin and Hobbes. Do you know that the Calvin and Hobbes also is so elusive that nobody has a picture of him? And he does not do any interviews. So here's Fred Rogers just for you. Here's Fred Rogers. Oh, first name. I didn't know that. It's Tony Tiger. Fred is Mr. Rogers' first name. I didn't realize that Fred Rogers' name was Tony. Was Tony? And I totally understand, Lyle. I do wish that I got to see. I do. Oh, thank you so much, Andy. I do wish that I got to see Fred Rogers, and the Tony Tiger in real time. That'd be a dream come true. So coming up next is the Donald Duck and Tower of Terror. Donald Duck Tower. Mama Dula. What's going on with this reflection? What is going on with this reflection? I didn't know that Lyle, that Mr. Rogers' name was Roger Frederick McFlea. So let's get going with Donald Duck. Let's see what we can do. Woo! Come on, device. Don't let us down yet. Are you kidding me right now, you device? What the heck is going on? Got it. And we are back at it better than ever. Like Andy says, hey Tony, do you know was a real life pastor at a church? I did not know that Fred Rogers was a real life pastor at a church. Thank you so much. I'm learning a lot about Mr. Rogers right now, which I really appreciate. It is so cool to find out a bunch of information. So in Mage Reels, here's a Donald Duck just for you. Woo! And you know what's kind of sad is that the last episode of British Bacon Show came on 27, and I messed that up. Whoop! Moving on. What kind of makes me sad is that the last episode of the Great British Bacon Show came out in 2017. I do wish that I got to see the break. I do wish that the Great British Bacon Show continued rather than stopped in 2017. Such a great show. And I know somebody who I would have loved seeing on the show. Now we are at it again. Thank you everybody for your patience. Let's see. Alright, we are in frame. Going in, going once, going twice. And we are in. Whoop. And also, Chaz, if you're still in here, how are the Ducks doing this Sunday? I realize that it's our last game, so hopefully the Ducks do get into the playoffs, so we can keep watching the Ducks. And I do apologize for any additional noise. Some people from my household just returned, so it's gonna be a little bit noisy. But hopefully YouTube does its magic and filters out the noise when we want it to filter out the noise. When I'm at the parks, I will definitely be streaming on StreamYards. Not StreamYards, but I'll definitely be on Prism, just so we can control the volume a little bit more. Alrighty, sorry you hear a bunch of like stomping and screaming noises from upstairs. I assure you that some people get really enthusiastic in the household. Alright, so here is a very, very, very distorted Donald Duck. Thanks to the magic of the camera lens, I noticed. But in person, the Donald Duck does look pretty normal. So I'm just kidding. So I'd be like, I gotta draw my artwork really distorted to make it look really normal on the screen. But when I draw the artwork normally on the paper, it looks distorted on the screen. So, wah. My medulla. So here's the Donald Duck and the Tower of Terror. Thank you so much, H.U.S. That means a lot. I'm glad you don't hear nothing, Robin. That's so good to hear. And note, since the Donald Duck looks like a baby Donald Duck, we should make a baby tower too. Maybe a little bit of a larger eye, just to make sure it's proportionate. My medulla. Tower. In the Tower of Terror. Do you know that when you're writing the Tower of Terror, and if you want to anticipate the drops, the drops will start after the narrator says, beyond the deepest, darkest corners of the imagination in the Tower of Terror, the trick is to count to 3, and on the third count, the light starts dropping and launching you, especially when you see the lightning flash on the screen before you. That's just a little heads up, especially if you have anxiety about when the drops be dropping. I know I've heard quite a few first-time writers screaming and bellowing the entire time, not sure when the drops would be starting. I heard somebody screaming the entire hallway scene before, and same with Rise of the Resistance, everybody be screaming, not sure when the drops are going to be starting. And most people scream since nobody expects there to be a drop in Rise of the Resistance. The moment that you start going in the elevator, some people be like, yep, they must slowly lower you down like what they do in Spaceship Earth or in Pirates with a few very subtle drops. But nope, you get plummeted down like a baby Tower of Terror. Not a baby shark, I promise. There should not be any sharks inside of a ride vehicle. Otherwise, that constitutes of an E-stop. Which is the wah. We gotta reboot the computer for 25 minutes, and you're stuck waiting there until the computer reboots. Another one of my Tower characters is named Moose. She is a fictional version of the Hollywood Tower Hotel, and she takes care of 2-3 bellhops, Sophia, Marcus, and Lucas. Not sure why, but I just love creating personified Tower stories. That's what I do when I'm taking a break from job. That's what I do when I'm taking a break from job hunting or being on stream. So here it is. Thank you so much, Robin. Thank you so much for the reminder. You have officially checked in, and if you enjoy where the service elevator is taking you, be sure to smash the subscribe button and to always have your notifications on so you never miss when you drop in, or when your bellhop Tony is ready to drop in with some artwork or live from your parks or for live from the parks. It does take a lot of energy and effort. To be very honest, it does take a lot of energy, effort, but it's such an amazing time going to the parks and showing you all the parks, which is why I always appreciate whenever you leave a thumbs up or subscribe, especially if you enjoy what you hear or see. Every little bit counts, especially when it comes to being able to share the enjoyment of the Hollywood Tower Hotel, because the Hollywood Tower Hotel is the best thing on the planet. Woo! Heck yeah, that's what we're talking about here. Here you go, Asian meals. There you go. And what would you like to request, Andy? Yep, we got to draw Daisy Duck coming right up for Robin. Daisy Duck. Alright, Daisy Duck. Donald Duck, not completely wrong. Daisy Duck. Alright, so here we go. Welcome back, James. How was your dinner? Glad to see you again. And right now, we are drawing a Daisy Duck watching Fred Rogers. Why not? And definitely, we can do Teletubbies. My very favorite Teletubby character is a Nunu. And I do know that Robin does love Daisy Duck, especially when Daisy Duck spins around. Especially when Daisy Duck spins around and winks. Teletubbies, Tinky Winky, La La, Loopsy. That's Daniel the Tiger. I'm not sure, but I thought he was Tony the Tiger, just like the LSU mascot. You are very, very welcome. Agent Wheels, that means a lot. So coming right up is Daisy Duck. Is Daisy Duck right here. Oh, thank you so much, Agent Wheels. That means a lot. I will also send you an HD high definition photo of the artwork. Mama Medulla. It looks like somebody wants to watch Jurassic Park upstairs. That's been one of their favorite movies, is Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. I just noticed that Daisy Duck does not have any nostrils on her bill. Do you know that the things that look like nostrils on both bills are actually their ears? So that's what Daisy Duck and Donald Duck hear from, is to hear from the beak. That's what I found out when I was illustrating a children's book called Buddy, a Story for Dyslexia. When I was illustrating Buddy, a Story for Dyslexia, I found out that birds hold from the beak, so I literally had to tell the author that we had to modify the story. Otherwise the speech therapist would be looking down the bird's beak. Another thing about birds is that they actually have backwards bit knees in real life. And there is 5,000 copies of the book Buddy in the garage. Not sure what's going to happen with them, but somehow I gotta find a way to get rid of all the books. I illustrated the book when I was between high school and middle school. I didn't have much going for me then, so I just illustrated a book. One of the friends did publish 5,000 books published as a present, but they've been sitting in the garage since 2014, nearly a decade. They've been sitting in the garage for 12 solid years, and now we gotta get them moving and get them out of the garage, one way or another. Not sure how, but they get out of the garage. And yes, I'm a very repetitive person, so I sometimes repeat the same phrase on loop as if I'm a broken down record in the Tower of Terror. So here you go, Daisy Duck. Mama Medulla. And also another thing I really like lately is hedgehogs. Does anybody have a pet hedgehog by chance? If so, I would love to see a photo if possible. That's one of my new interests is hedgehogs. I had no plans or intention of getting my own pet hedgehog since I'm not even close to ready, but I just enjoy seeing cute photos of hedgehogs and watching hedgehog care videos about how to care for a hedgehog properly. Do you know that a hedgehog requires at least a 4 foot by 5 foot enclosure, a plastic wheel, and a bunch of hideouts. That's how you properly care for a hedgehog. So we got ourselves Daisy Duck. Oh, you are very welcome. And next up, the Teletubby Zones. I do love It's a Small World, Tower of Terror. It's a world of copyright, a world of tower. There is just one moon and one golden sun. Through the drops that we drop and the 13 stories that we drop, it's a small world after all. That's awesome, Lyle, that you always have your phone and your computer. Never gonna put you down, never gonna let you go. Always got to hold on to my phone and all. Oh, that's so cute, Lyle, that your niece has 2 pet hedgehogs. Do you know where you can? Do you have pictures of the hedgehogs by chance? And alright, let's get going on. I lost my train of thought again. Whoop whoop. Alright, so Teletubbies, Tinky Winky, Dipsy, la la. Does anybody have Tower of Terror, not Tower of Terror, but Teletubbies on VHR by chance? I had a friend who had Teletubbies. I had a friend who had Teletubbies on VHR, and we would watch Teletubbies nonstop all day long. We would literally watch Teletubbies until the cows came home, and we eventually broke the VCR, which unfortunately it snapped in half due to overconsumption. Oh, that's so cute, Lyle. And APP Amusement Park Pirate says, I don't have a hedgehog, but I have a dog. Oh, what kind of dog do you have, if you don't mind sharing? Close. Alright, does anybody have any last week art requests before we do have to get going for the week? I definitely got a Starlight Parade to catch, and if Magic Adventures is still alive after this, I'll be headed over to Magic Adventures. Then after Magic Adventures, I'll be headed over to PhD Christie's Disney Channel, who is going to be featuring at 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Disney World time. She's going to be featuring the Disney Channel event. If anybody is interested, that is where I'm going to be going next. Unfortunately, I don't have capabilities to redirect the live stream to anybody, unfortunately. I have not figured out that level of tech yet. I just realized that the Teletubbies have very different shaped antennas. Not sure why I didn't notice that until now. And another thing is, another really fun Teletubby memory was my surprise to realize that YouTube had a buffer feature and a feature that could load a video. That would load a video even if you were off the internet. So I recall sitting in the not Whole Foods, but Vitamin College parking lot when I was around 11, and I had my iPad Generation 2. Suddenly, I opened up YouTube, I had no Wi-Fi at all, and then kabam, Teletubbies started playing, and I was like, no way, Jose, YouTube does have a buffer feature, which I was really blown away by. And ever since that moment, it completely changed my life when it comes to being able to save videos on YouTube. Being able to make buffer and preload YouTube videos. And I just noticed that the Teletubbies have very different shaped ears. Not sure why, I'm just noticing so much about the Teletubbies. Even though I watched the Teletubbies tape at least 80 times before, it snapped in half. Like almost everything in my life does. Snaps in half. Alright, I totally understand, Sia. Hello, Blake. Hello, Sia. How are you doing? I know I completely missed the chat again. I unfortunately can't see the chat from my vantage point, but hopefully we can get that studio nice and clean. And it's so good to see you. It's good to see you, Sia. Hello, Lyle. Hello, Blake. How are you doing? Does anybody have any live art requests? Any final art requests? And thank you so much, Amusement Park Pirates. That means so much. How are you doing, Blake? And do you have any plans to come back to Disney World again? Alrighty. Alright, here we go. Alright, here we go. Does anybody have any live art requests before we do have to get going? One last art request. Then I do have to take off for the night, unfortunately. It's been such a wonderful time. So glad you're all here right now. Thank you so much. So we got ourselves some Teletubbies, Mr. Roger and Daisy Duck. You're very welcome, and we will be back soon to the Hyatt Hotel. Thank you so much, Blake. Our last request comes from Gizmo. We can't have a night without Gizmo. Alright, we got Pluto and we can do Gizmo. So here we go, Pluto and Gizmo at the same time. So here we go. Woo! Pluto and Gizmo coming right up. Blake and Pluto and Gizmo will be our last two art requests before we have to get going for the evening. But don't worry, next Sunday we will be back. Instead of doing a live art, we will be speedboating a 30-page Tower of Terror replica, and we're gonna be seeing if we can set a speed record for building that. One moment, everybody, I'll be right back. I'm wrapping up. No, we're not. Are you going to bed? Alright, you might want to close that door. It's okay. You two focus on the noise. I have noise filter on. Hi. Alright, I got some really good news. We can be on a little bit longer. So therefore, we have our time. We can take our sweet time drawing Gizmo and Pluto at the same time. Here we go. Let's get this party going again. Woo! Thank you everybody who's sticking around. And Blake is asking, what is the Disney Channel night about? That is a really, really good question. So when it comes to the Disney Channel night, from what I could tell from PhD Christie's description and announcement, it is a night. It is a throwback night where in Disneyland they're gonna be showing they're gonna be having sets and photo ops with all the old school Disney shows such as iCarly, Hannah Montana, Wizard's Waverly Place, and of course High School Musical. I used to mistake High School Musical for the Boopers. Anybody remember the Boopers? Who were the fuzzy creatures? I actually thought that the Boopers were High School Musical and vice versa. So whenever I wanted to watch the Boopers as a High School Musical, and I see a bunch of people singing, it really confused me. It really confused me to why I would see a bunch of people singing. But then when I wanted to watch High School Musical, I was so confused to why I would see a bunch of fuzzy Boopers running around the screen. So whenever I wanted to Boopers, I'm like High School Musical. Eventually people caught on, and that's why Boopers and High School Musical are synonymous to one another. If you hear anything in the background, please let me know. I'm just seeing how well the noise filter works. And Blake's asking, do you have a favorite Disney Channel? Amusement Park Pirate says, Disney Channel night celebrates all things Disney Channel in Disneyland. That is so awesome. I never knew the specific details. And Blake says, I have always watched the Disney Channel. Did you? Unfortunately, I had no cable at all. We had bunny ears growing up, so no Disney Channel. Disney Channel was a huge treat at my grandparents' house. So at 6 a.m., I'd be wide awake watching a bunch of Disney Channel until like around noonish. That's when you would switch over to regular channel, and I'd be so bummed out. I'd be like, "Are you kidding me? Why is there no Disney Channel?" And also, what I really liked as I got a little older is right after the Disney Channel. After the Disney Channel ended, Disney would go to Phineas and Ferb. I'd watch a few episodes of Phineas and Ferb before shutting off the television because the other shows not really hold my interest. Another thing about my situation is that I have something called prosopagnosia, which is called face blindness, and it's the inability to recognize certain faces. It's the inability to recognize faces and associate faces with names. And so that's why I didn't really care for a lot of TV growing up, since I could not recognize who was who. I got so frustrated a lot of the time that I just shut the TV off. However, I came to like a little bit of football I'm not a really big football fan, but I do like watching football, especially if I want something to talk about with some people, or I'm trying to fit in at a networking event. I watch football. This way we have a common interest. And what I love about football is everybody's wearing jerseys, so I can be like, that's jersey 52, that's Peyton Manning. Instead of having to always guess who is who. That's why I like football and cartoons, since everybody is very easy to tell apart. And everybody, in both instances, wears the same outfits, which I really like. That's how I recognize people will buy the phone cases, their watches, and their accessories in high school. At one point, somebody asked, how were you able to recognize such and such? I'm like, she has a sparkly gold phone case, and I see it every day. So that's how I know who she is. So here you go. You got yourself some Gizmo and your Pluto. Woo! You're very welcome, all aboard with Blake. We can't stop dropping in for a good time. Heck yeah. And Moving Pop Pirates is asking everybody, I am wondering what Disney Channel movies have you seen? My most recent Disney movie channel I've seen was Phineas and Ferb Into the Candace Dimension. Other than that, nothing else. I tried watching Wizards of 101 Waverly Place. Unfortunately, due to presbyopia, face blindness, couldn't get into it, had to move on. And I ended up watching Phineas and Ferb the entire evening instead of that movie. You're very welcome, Gizmo. That is what happens when you don't feed a gremlin past midnight. Yeah, gremlin. Yeah, and that gremlin be like hunting. And that gremlin be like meeting up with Pluto. Alright, you too, Andy. Aw, it's so good. Blake, all about Blake says add me and go Wildcats. Woo! Oh, you too, James. It's so great seeing you too. And yep, we might have to drop into the Twilight Zone. Also, Blake, if you don't mind sharing, when do you think you might be going to Disney World again? I would love for you to drop into Twilight Zone. And Blake, if you want to meet up, I am going to be going to Disney World June 1st through June 6th. That's when I'll be June 5th. That's when I'm in the parks. Yes, come on, Blake, you got this. Woo! And same here, Blake. I couldn't watch the Gremlins. My eyes would close. I would be shaking, raking like some shaking bacon. I'm like, oh my gosh. When are the Gremlins going to turn nasty? And what I find really funny, just like Nightmare Before Christmas, is Gremlins can be a Christmas and a Halloween movie simultaneously. I do like some versatile movies, so I can enjoy the movie not once but twice a year, which I love. And also, Blake, I would love to meet you too. Anybody who's going to be in the parks first week of June, hit me up on Instagram. Here's my Instagram. Instagram at Tony O Tower. And we are going to live it up the best we can after 2 p.m. Whatever you do, don't feed Tony Red Bull after 2 p.m. Otherwise, Tony will be tearing through the parks. That is when I'll be able to get into the parks due to it being a high demand week. And I do have to be very conscientious when it comes to purchasing my tickets. Which is another reason why lastly that's another reason why I started a Patreon since I really enjoy bringing you all to the parks. I just love seeing that Tower of Terror, let me be honest. And any little bit does help and goes a long ways. But I also really thank and appreciate every thumbs up, every subscription, just because of how much and how far everything goes and means to me in life. I know I might sound a little tacky right now, but that is the reality. That is my reality. That's the reality right now. And I'm glad you're here too, Lyle. So, looks like we got to wrap up actually. Well, sorry about the glare, everybody. Let me fix that. Well, what is going on with the light? What's going on with the light, everybody? So, here we go. Much better in the Twilight Zone. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching and for joining us in the Tony O Tower Zone tonight. Thank you everybody for dropping in, bringing the good time. And yes, Melody, and Melody, before I forget, I will be bringing the artwork when we meet up in the parks. Plus, in HBO, Please, whatever to do for the life of you, let me forget to send you an HD copy of this artwork. And as Disney says and Robin says, instead of saying goodbye, we'll see you real soon. You too, Gizmo, and you're very, very welcome. APP, that means so much. And yes, due to fun times and amazing art, thank you. Alright, Lyle says, alright, everybody, thanks for joining us. We hope you had a wonderful morning, afternoon, Twilight Zone, upside down, right side up, morning, evening, wherever you are, and you may be watching from. If you have not already, please be sure to smash the thumbs up party button to keep this party going and keep the good times coming your way. Woo! Heck yeah! And you too, APP. Good night, Blake. It's so good to see you. Thank you, Seattle, for being here too. Cruising Theme Park Guide. You too, Robin. Woo! And Amusement Park Pirates, James Gizmo. Thank you so much, Math Disney with Matthew. I know there's so many amazing people here. I am trying to figure, and of course Jalen and Andy. It's so good to see all of you here tonight. I always love to see all of you, and I hope you have an amazing night in the Twilight Zone. See you around. Woo! And that's my finger. Please don't steal my fingerprint. That's what my finger looks like.